going on today, guys? I am now starting my official James Bond 007 series in preparation for the new film Spectre, which I am very excited to see. And today, guys, I'm going to be talking about one of my personal favorite Bond picks, From Russia with Love. From Russia with Love is directed by Terrence and is the second James Bond movie. However, this is the very first James Bond movie that I ever saw, which makes it incredibly special for me. I remember, I think I was about 9 years old. It was actually on Christmas Day. My father received a James Bond movie for DVD by me, and I decided, you know what, I might want to see it. And then my dad was like saying, come on, you gotta watch this, you're gonna love it. And I'm like, okay, alright, fine. Because at that age, I knew it was like an old movie, so I didn't know what to expect. And I walked away there completely mind blown. This film stars Sean Connery in his second outing as the titular character 007, and this time his mission is to head over to Istanbul, which is in Russia, and his mission is to steal this Lecter list. Now, this Lecter is a Russian decoding system where they can listen on the Soviets because, you know, the Cold War was really stirring at that point during the mid-1960s, which is when the film takes place. And in the process, he gets mixed up with badass Spectre agents, a beautiful woman. I'm telling you guys, I love this movie. To me, this movie had everything. It had action, it had adventure, it had comedy, it had drama, it had those amazing Cold War thrills. This movie really is amazing. This is the movie where we are first introduced to Q Branch, which is incredible, guys. If there's any, guys, if there's anyone you gotta love from 007 besides 007, it's gotta be Q. Q gives them all the gadgets, gives them all the inventions. My favorite James Bond films are the ones that you can look at, and it doesn't have to be personally identified as a James Bond movie. You can interpret it as an action movie, and you have the best spy ever, 007, within this movie. You really feel that with this film. It feels like a cold-blooded, killing action movie. And it does it so well for the 60s. Guys, I'm dead serious. I rewatched this movie last week in preparation for this review, and it still looks beautiful. I finally watched it on Blu-ray, and the picture restoration is fantastic. It looks great. The film is just so good, though. It's laced with such witty dialogue that it's just one of the smartest movies I think I've ever seen. The pacing is absolutely relentless once he arrives in Istanbul, and it is marvelous. The Bond girl in this film is Tatiana Romanova, and she's played by Daniela Bianchi. I'm pretty sure that's how you say that name. And I'll never forget the first time she was introduced. Come on, I'm a guy, guys. You have to understand where I'm coming from. But still, I'll never forget the first time that we were introduced to her character in that bed. It just felt so incredible. Like, I'd never seen a movie like this before. So, walking into it, it was a whole other world for me. So, everything that happened in the movie, I think I'm reviewing this with a little bit of nostalgia, guys, with all honesty. But still, this movie is pretty damn awesome. It really is. Even though there is a little bit of nostalgia going into this review, like the bedroom scene and the train fight scene, those moments, they do have a little nostalgia because they're not the most perfect scenes in the world. That was such a very, very different time, and I really think that it translates very well in some scenes. Some scenes, not so much, because you can tell there's a lot of old stuff. And I just can't go without saying the famous train fight scene. Oh my god, it is absolutely beautiful. I love that scene. And I'll never forget the very first time I saw it with my father. Every time I watch the film, there's one point where I always hear his voice. And this is a brief spoiler, so if you haven't seen From Russia with Love, I suggest you go check it out. Definitely. It's one of the best Bond movies. And then come back and watch this. But the scene on the train where Robert Shaw's character's name is Grant, and Robert Shaw also co-starred in another fantastic film, Jaws. And in this movie, Grant ends up trying to open the briefcase that Q gave to James Bond at the beginning of the film. And I'll never forget when my dad was sitting there and we were watching and he said, watch this. And he turns the key and then it just explodes in his face. I'll never forget the first time I saw that. It completely was incredible to me because I was 8 years old. I didn't really know what to expect. And it was just so cool to just watch these two guys fight on a train. And I will admit, those sound effects are a little bit ridiculous. But other than that, that train fight scene, I believe this filmed quite well. And I think From Russia with Love's train fight scene is among one of the greatest movie fights of all time. because it's just filmed so nicely and slickly that you kind of forget that it's just two men fake punching each other. But guys, I love that scene, and it is just so good. Guys, From Russia with Love is a tightly packed James Bond film, filled to the brim with amazing characters and incredible story. Save for a few shots that are kind of not really in the time period, From Russia with Love is still one of the best James Bond movies. So guys, in the end, From Russia with Love gets an A. Well, thank you guys for watching another one of my movie reviews. I appreciate this as always. You guys are the best. I'm going to be continuing in my James Bond series by delivering you guys the next review for Thunderball, which is yet another one of my favorite James Bond movies. Then I'll review Live and Let Die, then GoldenEye, and then the latest Daniel Craig movies leading up to Spectre, and I am just so excited for Spectre. I can't wait. But in the end, guys, click that like button and send me some comments for what movies you want me to review next, and I will definitely be delivering to you guys. Thank you all, and stay tuned.